What an unbelievable round of footy. Absolute carnage from the first game to the last. Bulldogs win an unbelievable games. Eels get smashed by the Raiders. You know, Melbourne and Brisbane put on an absolute clinic, and just the Rabbitohs have capitulated. Welcome and thank you for joining us once again on the Kennel NRL podcast. We're going to talk about all the games. We're going to talk about that incredible game between the Bulldogs and the Roosters and so much more. But before that, if you do enjoy our content, if you have, been spending time watching us and want to see what else we have in store, some of the guests, some of the content that we're currently developing, please be sure to give us just a quick subscribe, like the video. It really helps us in a long way, sort of push us up the algorithm. And it's just really something that I'm sure you continue to get value from. So thank you so much for all your support. Dibbo, what a weekend of footy.
Oh, great weekend. You know what? I'm doing well with the tips this year, I'll be honest here. Besides that first round, I want to get a bit adventurous, that first round.
Yeah.
And I realised if I didn't get adventurous, I probably would have got about 6 out of 8 that first round. But, I mean, the last 4 weeks, for me, it's been quite predictable. I mean, I've done well. Just thought, I think I'm averaging somewhere between 6 and 7 out of 8 every round. So... That's pretty good. I'm actually killing it. Like I said before the season started that basically there is teams that I see that are going to recede, and there is teams that are going to improve, and the teams that were finishing towards the bottom of the ladder last year, you'll be able to tip them more and more often to have upsets to the point that where it's not really an upset anymore because they've built their roster, they're improving leaps and bounds, whereas other teams they're just showing signs of crumbling.
So. Speaking of building and jumping in leaps and bounds, how about that first half by the Bulldogs?
Yeah, that was sensational. I think the Bulldogs just got to make sure they don't get players sent off or sent to the bin from the opposition. I think they're better off playing against 13 men rather than against 11 men. That was heart attack stuff. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing in both halves.
I thought
that first half was extraordinary.
I thought if the Roosters don't lose Dom Young, if it's 13 on 13, I actually think that the Bulldogs go on to put a lot more on the Roosters, and we beat them very comfortably.
Yeah,
I know it sounds weird.
I thought you were going to say that the Roosters would run you down.
No,
I don't
way.
think so.
No
At that stage,
way.
You guys were in total control, total domination.
Complete domination. Yeah. And you know what's interesting is that was probably the best half of footy I've seen from the Bulldogs in probably 7 or 8 years.
I totally agree. I was like, whoa, what
it's close
are we
to a perfect half in defence and in attack. Like
Kick-Out was playing like he was at prime Kick-Out at Penrith.
Bro, it was all Burton. The thing about Burton was he knew when to unlock Kick-Out. And actually, this is something we're going to discuss a little bit later, but Ciraldo keeps making these really, really rookie coaching mistakes that shoot the team in the foot that I think he needs to start,
Is that around the bench rotation?
The bench rotation and the decisions when players get injured. He makes these really silly decisions that impacts the complete structure of the team, and we just can't play anymore. And I think, he's got to be a little bit more careful of the big moves that he makes. Like, moving Burton to centre from 6 ruined every bit of structure that we had. Simple. Put Connor at fullback. Leave what's his name? Crichton where he is. Leave Burton at 6. You leave Burton at 6. Even with 12 players, I think that the Doggies go on to score more. Burton, like people keep have been arguing all year about whether Burton's a centre or
I would have put Drew Hutchison in the centres instead because he played there. Played there at the Roosters as well.
Yeah, Sexton and Burton in the halves.
You know what? To Hutchison, to be fair to Hutchison, he was actually having a decent game in that first half. But the standouts were Burton. I thought Blake Taft till he got concussed.
Blake Taft was fantastic
with that illegal concussion he copped. Who else did we miss? Kick-Out was having a whale of a game.
Unbelievable.
I thought Sam Hughes, when he came on, was terrific.
Wow.
Got penalised wrongfully for a strong tackle. Your backs were really excelling, I thought. I mean, it was great. And then it was just a horror show in that second half. I think the players just got too comfortable. Hey, they got 12 men for the rest of the game. We're up by 26. We
had heaps of injuries too, and one person I have to.
I think it was a mental and a psychological thing. They got
too
comfortable.
I reckon it was mental and physical. But
too comfortable.
One person I have to call out is Kurt Mann. Like that guy at lock is incredible, and he and Burton I felt were the reason we looked so good in attack. I felt Mann distributed the ball so much better than Jamin Salmon, and Burton was just like, you know what, I'm going to be a big game player. This is why you guys bought me. Let me show you what I can do. And to be honest, and I'm going to say this to the camera, I'm going to say this to everybody watching, Doggy supporter or not, the Bulldogs have fired a warning shot. This is a real warning shot, and you may not agree with it, but I'm telling you, if we can put two good halves together against the best teams, like the way we played against the Roosters, look, the Roosters aren't up there. Maybe they're losing that aura of greatness about them. They were never great. They've always been shit. But like, you know, they've had a good team for a long time. I don't think that you can deny that the Bulldogs they let off a warning shot, and I think that once we get two halves completely correct and we can do it consistently, there are very few teams in maybe say other than the top standout four that we can't trouble and beat on our day. You know, and honestly, this year our forwards haven't actually been the problem. I don't think this year, you know, everyone's been worried about Dogs forwards. Sure, we could do with one more big impact forward, but the forwards haven't been our problem. Against the Roosters, kick our ran for 167 meters.
I'll just point out something. See how underwhelming the second half was. He had 140 meters by half time.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal.
It was ridiculous.
Well before half time as well.
And I'm telling you, that was all burden. Not to take away from...
I think your forwards are strong.
Look, not to take away from the forwards at all. Strong. But
they created that platform.
But if you have good, strong forwards without halves guiding them, you get nowhere. But like, there was so many times where I noticed where Burden would get into dummy half and just throw the ball out.
Took the initiative.
He took the initiative. Like, there were times where he'll call for the ball, bang, he's got it off the kick out. Kick out, gets the ball early. He runs through Crichton, runs through Tupou. You know, steamrolls.
I think Birdo's been taking part in the Kennel forum online.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you read all the comments there, they're all basically complaining about Reid Marnie going sideways. So Birdo's like, I better get this ball and fire it out straight away.
Even Reid Marnie, I think, has been having such good games. Like, to be honest, it was Reid Marnie that set it all off. Like that first tackle he did on Dom Young, with Dom Young, he's a big guy, puts his body on the line, you know, gives a big hit. Roosters drop the ball. Next thing you know, we've scored within the first 5 minutes.
I thought in that first 15-minute stanza, roughly, or about 10 to 15 minute stanza, Blake Taaffe was your best player on the field,
without doubt.
You know, he just set the ball rolling. It was those passes, he was running,
the speed, the enthusiasm.
He was setting himself up for a huge return in that game.
Do you know what?
Then it's just what the send off was very fair.
I think the reffing overall, even in the second half, was good. With the exception of two things. The Manu tackle on Connor Tracy when Kikau steamrolled Teddy, that he was tackled without the ball. That was a professional foul.
Yeah.
He should have been gone for 10 regardless, right? And the try that Manu scored, that was a double movement. You cannot convince me otherwise. I will die on that hill. That was a double movement. I don't care.
Yeah, I got no qualms if that got disallowed. I thought the same thing. I mean, I had no complaints if it got disallowed. And another qualm I had was basically a strong tackle getting, you know, when Sam Hughes just flung that player. I just thought, come on, man, you're not rewarding the player for a rough tackle. That's not illegal at all.
But I get it. Look, I get the Sam Hughes one. It's you know,
I'm just trying to.
But he did, you know, nothing came of it. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. What did the Victor Raleigh get sent into the bin for again?
That was ridiculous. I'll be honest with you. I thought that was so soft and. Whether it was 11
I think it made it worse for you guys.
Honestly, we just...
The players thought, okay, now they're down to 2. That's all right. Look, I just thought a lot of people were blowing on about that second half deluxe, but I thought, geez, they got the 2 points, put it behind you. The coach will take care of things. The players know they've earned.
I agree 100%.
Reset, take the 2 points, start again next week.
If you remember, even on this podcast, we said that the Bulldogs have no chance of winning and that...
To be fairness to you, I think you tipped the Dogs. You were confident. I just thought the Roosters would get up by 18. I didn't think it was... 18's not a big margin to me. It's just 3 converted tries. Really, you know, 3 unconverted tries could easily be 12 points. But... and it was just... Yeah, it was complete. It was gobsmack. It was completely the other way.
What a first half.
I thought that was a perfect first half by Canterbury. They were running strong. They were breaking the line. They were supporting each other. They were backing up. I think Birdo every time backed up and scored. Kick-out was they were bludgeoning players. The defense was on song. Even when Dom Young took that intercept, Blake Taaffe got a
tackle! What a tackle!
He was aware
by Blake Taaffe, and you know what? That goes on the back of being on the front foot. Like, if you're defending and they make that break, it's hard for you to make that. But Blake Taaffe, he was aware. His mind was on the game. He was one step ahead. And to make that tackle on Dom Young and to take him out, like, that for me was like, There is no way we're going to lose this game.
Yeah, look, just set the tone. I'm not going to talk about how they came out the second half, so just show you how they started off the game. And the intention to the game is when he made that tackle, he didn't make it with the last 10 metres to go. He made it about probably on the 40-metre line.
That's right.
So he was very aware something might happen here. But even more impressive, if you look behind him, you had Bronson Sherry. He's a whippet himself. I think there was one or two other players around there as well. Like they might not have made it to Dom Young.
But they never gave up. They didn't say, "Oh, there's an
but they were
gone."
well within QE. So even if he went back on the inside, I think Sherry would have got there. The other two might have had a chance if he came back on the inside. But just show you the commitment and the intensity they came out with.
And the other thing they did was they didn't allow him to have inside support. So the defenders being there meant that naturally they're going to block the Roosters from being able to support
Or
him
they're going to
after
tackle
that
them
break.
as soon as they get
Or
the ball.
they'll tackle them as soon as they get the ball, which
That's it.
It shows. And, people saying, oh, the Bulldogs are building, the Bulldogs are building. I don't think the Bulldogs are building. The Bulldogs are here. They fired a warning shot. And I'm telling you, if we continue to start games that way and we can continue to put our best team on the field, look, as a Doggy supporter, I've been waiting to say this for a very long time. Like the juniors, like even Kitione Katonga, right? I thought he played
good to see him
very good when he came on.
I think I told you before the game, this is pretty much the lineup I wanted to see Canterbury have.
You did.
Harrison Edwards also got unfortunate. He got injured. I hope he's all right. It looks serious.
Only played 10 minutes. I couldn't really get a gauge. But he's all right. He's all right. He's getting scans, but he's okay. Obviously not playing this week.
Crichton's injury is not long-lasting, I believe. Or was it Kikau or Crichton now?
No, Kikau's been named.
Yeah. I haven't seen the lineup.
We'll talk about the lineup once we get to the next season. But I wanted to make a couple more points just about... firstly, I want to say Reid Marnie, 57 tackles. He only missed 2 or 3.
Good game defensively.
Ridiculous defense. Like it's just gone up right there. It's right up there right now. Our forwards, like I have to say, like Sam Hughes got 45 minutes. He ran for 120 meters, made 20 something tackles.
He would have made more if that didn't slow down in that second half.
100%. Max King played with a broken arm, 130 meters.
He's got a broken arm.
He's got a broken arm.
Is he named?
He is named.
Wow.
And then you look at, for example, Josh Curran, 100 plus meters.
Again.
So many tackles. Kick out 167 meters. Like what?
Should have had a higher return.
Do you remember a few weeks ago? We were talking about the importance of our forwards starting to make 3 digits in their runs. We were talking
now
about
it's
you've
breaking
got to get
through,
over 100, and it's got to be consistent. Kept Max King, done it for now 3 weeks in a row. Sam Hughes, first time he plays for more than 20 minutes a game, runs for 120 meters. And I dare say if the game was even slightly better in our favour in the second half, he runs for 150.
I just want to think. I think Kikau stood tall. If you go back about 3 or 4 weeks ago, he started to show aggression. Although he wasn't reaping the rewards right away, but he was starting to hit real hard in defence. And you could tell his attack was starting to build up. And then look at it the last 3 weeks, like especially
he's our enforcer. Yeah. This is what we've been looking for. Really, this is what we've been looking for, and you can see it's sort of permeating through the other forwards. One person I do think is, I don't want to attack any players. It's not about attacking them, but I think someone who's not up to the standard of the team at the moment is Jamin Salmon. I think Jamin Salmon needs to figure out where he belongs in the team.
I think, I think he had one of his better games, but I think it's universal in agreement with that. Maybe he should have a bench role instead, and they got to find him a role.
Yeah, they got to find him where he's
sort of way he's
effective.
Playing. Yeah, he's just a passenger at the moment. I feel
a little bit. I mean, like he gives away a few penalties. I don't find like his attack.
He can cover in the centre, so that's another. That's where I think Serraldo also erred when he's had that injury. Yeah, he should have slotted straight there, and Hutchison could have went.
Even there are a couple of plays there. Even when we were in attack, Hutchison, where instead of when we made a break, instead of spreading the ball wide, he would cut back in. And
that's a specialty of his.
But
Let's cut back in with the 3-man overlap before. Actually, hang on a sec. On the right, who was it? There was about a 3 or 4-man overlap.
Yeah, that was it. And he cut back in, and then we had made a break, and he cut back in. I'm just like, what are you doing, brother?
Geez.
Just throw the ball. A forward will know. Just throw the ball out wide. Let the speedsters do their thing. And
I was sitting there watching. I had my hands in my head. I'm going, is he for real?
Look, I was just like, for me, like I thought, and I remember making this comment in my head. I said, this is why Hutchison cannot be our long-term fullback. He's halfback. He's not a natural halfback.
Can I just point out something? I know it's probably unfair to judge Sexton on that second half, but that was atrocious. But I think it's unfair to judge him because that second half itself was extraordinary. What we're witnessing, I think his whole team had switched off. They couldn't lay him a platform. So I just thought it was very unfair on him. Like, you know,
Look,
what he had to come in.
I agree, and
deal with.
moving Burton from 6 meant that he sort of had to do things on his own, and Hutchison was just trying to tackle his butt off. Look, in any case, I have to say the Roosters were bloody impressive. Like, that was courageous for them to do.
Yeah,
what they
it was
did.
courageous. I
have to tip my hat. I have to tip my sombrero to them that they.
your red and white and blue sombrero that gets bigger.
They were very, very courageous in coming back.
But they're going home with 0 points, and I'm sure any side of 11 players would show that sort of courage.
Look, true. That
0 points, 2 and 3, so they're the same as everyone else.
And I did grow in respect for the Roosters because I don't respect them much at all. But
yeah,
it was very good.
Can I point out? I saw Canterbury's draw before the season started. I thought, geez, they might be 0-6 here. They're 2 and 3. They should have won that Souths game. They're 3 and 2. I honestly would give them a B- or a B+ for their performance so far.
I think
Honestly, there was, if you ask a lot of people, they might jag 1 out of 6, or a lot would have said 0 out of 6 or 1 out of 6. Mate, they're 2 and 3 when they should have been 3 and 2, and they got Melbourne this week, and everyone thinks it's going to be if you told me last year Melbourne versus Canterbury, besides that, when you did beat them in Melbourne, I'm sure a lot of people would have tipped Melbourne 20 or 30 plus,
especially in Melbourne.
Yeah, and now the game is. Tomorrow, where's this game at?
Friday in Melbourne.
They always get the luck of the draw, that club. Now, Canterbury, they're 2 and 3. A lot of people, if you ask them now, they still might go towards Melbourne, but they're not going to tell you 20 plus.
It's not a shoe-in. It's absolutely
They're going to
not
say,
a
a lot of people go, maybe Melbourne 12 points, 2 tries,
And
they've now, it's now going, okay, Canterbury is on the move.
If the weather suits us,
go on.
I actually think that I'm going to tip the Doggies. I think they could cause an upset.
The only concern I got for Canterbury is, and I've touched on it before, and they did cop it last year, and I don't wish this on them, is injuries and suspensions start befalling them because...
Well, it started this week.
Yeah, and that's with the Warriors because then it ruins all the hard work they've done, and and then they get unfairly judged. I always thought they needed a few more, like from last year, they needed a few more seasons to build a really strong roster from 1 to 30. I think at this stage they're probably 1 to about maybe 23 or 25, somewhere there. Yeah. So I still think they're about minimum 3 or 4 players short. Some of those young guys on the fringes there, they need a few more seasons. I feel.
I mean, look, the fact that we've got someone like Katonga
that was good.
Come in, man, I was so happy to see him. He's a big boy, and one thing I noticed about him,
I was pleased with Sam Hughes. I'll be honest.
Sam Hughes was so delightful
to see.
Yeah. But like what I saw with Katonga that actually made me happy as like a Doggy supporter was, at halftime, Katonga, first thing he did was he ran up to Viliami Kickout, and you can see he's asking Kickout like, what'd you do here? What'd you do there?
Right thing to do.
Like. He's sort of trying to learn from Kickout, who I think is the form second rower in the game. Over the last
definitely.
He's the form. I don't care what anyone says. There isn't a better second rower at the moment.
I love how he just went, okay, Teddy, I'm just going to run over.
Yeah. Good luck.
He didn't try to step. It just put the hip back in.
And just good luck.
And just see you later. Like I think I like that lineup. I thought Canterbury was missing on the weekend, and it's through injury. They were missing only Preston and Addo Carr.
Absolutely. Oh, mate, what a team.
Other than that, that was great.
Wilson, I thought Wilson needs to be in our team. Like,
look, if he's there or not, you know what, he's an asset as well. That's a good thing. So he's one of the depth that I like for the backline. It's where I was worried about depth for your side is the halves and some of the forwards. That's about it. Nothing other than that. Your backline's well stacked.
Yeah, and look, to be honest, we've got we're trying to develop our forwards, but he started Patolo on the week on last Friday, which I didn't think was a bad thing because I've rated Patolo and I've told you many times I think Patolo could be a big thing for us.
It was good to see him get game time. I want to see those guys get game time.
But I want to see he's also been named again. We'll get to it, but he's been named again. I just want to make a couple of points and I want to move on to the Dogs vs Storm quickly just to talk about the team list. I just want to talk very, very quickly. Patolo, Mann, King, Tracy, they were all injured. There were some other niggles out there. I think that no one gave the Bulldogs a chance to win, and they won. Yeah. And we got those 2 points that we probably should never have gotten, which is fantastic. What I will say is that Ciraldo is starting to show why his defensive structures at Penrith were so good, because the Doggies are starting to defend very, very well. In that second half, look, again, I'm going to forget that second half because that second half was, that whole game was like, almost just an abstraction. But I'm starting to see a lot of potential in this team. And if we make the 8, do not be surprised, because I think that first half was a warning shot. And they're like, we're just getting started. Let's see how we go from here. Seraldo needs to stop making stupid changes for the team when people get injured. Stop it. All right.
It's not him.
It is him.
No, it's Gus. Gus chooses the lineup.
Oh, yeah. Just Gus is coaching the team.
Gus chooses the
lineups. He's running the board.
Seriously, which dope in the newspaper or media brought that rumor out? Honestly, I'm surprised he's still employed. If I was the employer... His name starts
with B and ends with us.
Yeah, one of them. If it's not him, it's one of his crew. It's one of those guys.
Absolute tosspots, honestly. It annoys me, but it's also funny
the integrity of that paper just keeps going further down the sewers.
But when they asked him...
Somehow still employed.
But when they asked Seraldo, he just sort of mocked it.
And then I think when it was time for the lineup, or the team... to line up or something, Seraldo goes, all right, Gus, seeing you chose to line up, you need to tell the players what to do.
It's just ridiculous.
It just really took the piss out of him. So it was a bit of humour. It was good.
Now, the team has been named for the Storm v Dogs, and I think it's a very interesting lineup. So, Crichton's at fullback. You got Connor Tracy on the wing, Jacob Hurez and Sherry in the centres. Then you got Fox back on the wing of Sherry. You got Burton and Hutro at 6 and 7. King is playing despite a fractured hand. I think there might be some... Liam Knight might come in for him. But we'll see. Reed Money at 9. Patolo starts again at 10. You've got Kikau at 11. Curran at 12. Salmon at 13. On the bench, this is where I think it's interesting.
All right, let's hear this.
Bailey Hayward makes his debut at 14.
Right. That's not well a bad deserved thing. For someone that's a half, that's actually quite good.
Well deserved. Then you've got Pawasa Famasuli, which is good, which is great. You got Samuel Hughes and Kitione Katonga. There's some decent size on that bench. Bailey Hayward is small, but the Famasuli, Hughes and Katonga, they are big boys, and they could, if all goes well, I think that's not a bad bench despite the people that we've got injured. Now, the Storm. They've got Pappenhausen, Warbrick, Smith, Meaney, Coates. Then you've got Hughes. So you've got Munster and Hughes, Tui Kamikamitha, Harry Grant, Josh King, Sean Blaw, Eliesa Katoa, and Trent Liero at lock. Then you've got Tyrone Wisha, Christian Welch, Tepai Moroa, and Alec McDonald. That's the makeup of the team. The one, I think, obviously Harry Grant could absolutely destroy us. The other one that I think has been absolutely phenomenal for the Storm has been Eliesa Katoa. Eli Katoa has been very, very good for them, as has Sean Blaw. Right? We need to be on our absolute best defense to stop them.
Just on that, I don't think it's a bad thing. I know it's unfortunate that Taffy's out for HIA. I'll be interested to see how Crichton goes at fullback.
For a whole game?
So it's not a bad thing.
I think it's not a bad thing either.
Even if he doesn't have his best of games, he gets the feel of it. Melbourne's Melbourne, I guess. They beat Brisbane last week. They did leak a lot of tries.
They are vulnerable. Look,
they are vulnerable.
Every team's vulnerable. That's the thing.
I said earlier, if you asked me who would have went if it was last year, would have went Melbourne 20 plus. But now it's just like, I'm going to go Melbourne by 10 points. That's just me playing it safe. No,
that's fair.
And you're inclined to choose Canterbury as a Canterbury fan. I think you should be proud of your team. Despite that second half. So, there's a lot of people I'm sure that will be tipping Canterbury for an upset as well. More so of the fans.
One thing I will point out is despite losing 3 or 4 players from the previous game to injury, our team is still, I think, a very well-rounded, experienced team. Yeah, we're not you don't point out one place and say, this is definitely where they're...
No, they're not. They're not at last where they were at last year. They've recruited experienced players,
and it's fantastic.
And the inexperienced last year are now 20 games plus. About 20 games richer for the experience.
Without these guys, we still we've got Man. There's Moran.
Is Moran back? Yeah.
No, next week Moran comes back and gets.
I just want to ask you, how much are you going to buy Canterbury by on the weekend? 4 points on Friday.
Oh, against the Storm?
Yeah. How much are you tipping them by?
I'm saying by 12.
Oh, that's good.
I think by 12. I know that. Look, I know that if we do win, it may not be by 12, but I genuinely believe.
You're inclined to tip them
with Burrow and Kikau there. If we can continue to combine Patola gets a few more minutes, I think. When people will say, "Are you going to get run over?" Man, we have a very determined forward pack and a very determined defensive team. If we can get the best of their forwards, then you sort of cut out the Munster and the Hughes factor. Harry Grant always going to be
inclined
dangerous.
You're definitely inclined to choose them. I mean, there's every reason to choose them as a Canterbury fan. They've won 2 games. They probably should have had another 1 or 2 wins. But,
So what's your tip?
I've gone Melbourne by 10.
Melbourne by 10.
It's made me what happened.
I'll
on
go
the
Dogs by
weekends.
10. How about that? I'll go Dogs by 10.
Yeah, that's a good. 12 is fine.
Dogs by 10 or 12. But you mentioned something, and I want to get to this, right? You said that we should have probably had the win against the Rabbitohs on Good Friday.
Yeah. And don't forget the Cronulla game. Things, it might not happen now, but with the continued improvement of your squad and performance-wise, in future, those losses will become wins,
100%. But I'm happy to leave the Sharks and the Eels games as losses. That's fine. But I want to show you just how bad the Rabbitohs are and just how much Gerard Sutton gave them a leg up.
I tipped the Warriors on the weekend. I think I tipped the Warriors by 20.
They smashed them 38-4.
Yeah, I tipped the Warriors with reason.
They have, the Rabbitohs are well and truly finished unless there's a dramatic shift.
Latrell's suspended 3 or 4 weeks. It's just concerning there now. He's had a meeting. I think his club management had a meeting with him to check on his well-being and all that.
But just before we I do want to talk about that, but just before we get onto that, just to show you how much Gerard Sutton helped them, that on the weekend they got absolutely annihilated. And we couldn't get a single thing. We couldn't get a single positive thing go for us on Good Friday. We were the better team, both defensively and in attack. And they're like, Rabbitohs, they've finally won a game.
So after you guys bashed Sutton in the media, he went and hammered the Rabbitohs the following game.
It's just ridiculous. Roger Tafaz-Sheck, incredible. So happy to see him back in the game. But Chance Klukstad showed
Sean Johnson had a day out.
Why he deserves to be fullback, right? Yeah, over RTS.
That's the beauty of it. I think the Warriors got about 3 or 4 players now that can play fullback with distinction.
Absolutely.
With high distinction as well. You got Tui Puiaki or so. How do you pronounce
Tuiaki.
Tuapiki or something?
Tuapiki, sorry. You're talking about Tuapiki, the one that was injured?
Yeah, he started there, and then you got Roger, who's sensational. He won the Golden Boot or whatever Daily M from fullback, and then you got Chance Klukstad, and then I'm sure a few others could.
Tamari Martin could play fullback as well.
Here we go. Wow.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And speaking of, he had a great performance against the Rabbitohs. I thought he was fantastic. He suited style very well.
They got depth. So, Chanel Harris-Tavita gets demoted, and then it's like, geez. And then it's Tamari Martin replacing him. You're thinking, wow, a good player replaced by another good player.
Unbelievable. Everybody's blaming, like the Rabbitohs will be lucky to avoid the spoon. I think the only reason they will avoid the spoon is because of the Titans.
No, and then they got some class players. I think the Souths are quickly showing they're a one show, one trick pony. Show pony. They got to stop stop relying on Latrell. Everyone else all the other players really need to step up. Latrell, he's an absolute weapon, but he's a weapon in a he can't.
In a well-beaten team.
No. He chuck him in New South Wales, for example. Chuck him in the centres. He'll probably be the best player on the field.
Yeah, agreed.
Chuck him out fullback. Yeah, he's going to have a sensational game. Yeah. But what's the rest of the team doing?
So everyone's blaming Latrell and Walker, but I feel that their forwards simply aren't aiming up.
Oh, very, very bad. I'm just reading an article today. So
sorry, but
I think Davey Mawali's been renamed in that squad.
Yeah, I can pull up the squad, but to be honest, even
they're very underwhelming.
Even Totola, right? Totola hasn't been performing.
He hasn't been bad. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't hit the heights he's had the last few years. It's been okay, but not the heights.
Moali, Burgess, even Siliva Havili, I feel like the team is just not gelling well enough, and I do believe that
forwards have been poor.
I think that Walker, his time may be coming to an end.
He's 34.
His time may be coming to an end.
I mean, how long do players... Yeah, he's coming to an end.
I'll tell you what.
He's probably got, one more year, and that's it?
I actually think that the future halves pairing for the Rabbitohs should be Dean Hawkins and Lachlan Ilias.
And just on Ilias, it's unfortunate what happened on the wing.
He's injured for six months.
I think Lussick will cover about 6 to 8 weeks for that.
I feel sorry for Lussick as well, because I don't think Lussick did anything necessarily... I understand you got to protect the kickers, but...
Followed through out his legs. He's fractured his fibula or something. It's a hard injury.
It's a hard injury, yeah.
I feel because I think incidentally, Ilias was back in first grade this week, and then just copped that break.
Who would he replace?
I think he was going to replace Hawkins, or Hawkins was going to go to the bench. I think he's going to be the backup hooker or
Look,
something.
I think they need to get Jai Gray in there one way or another.
Yeah, look, and I was reading on Jai Gray, like other teams have been doing their homework on him, and the Warriors kept him quiet. And then I still read the stats. I think the guy still had a try assist, a line
He's
break.
really good, man.
And I think he still ran for over like 120 meters. So I'm like, yeah, they're doing their homework, but he's still getting a return.
He's still killing it.
Yeah.
Melbourne and Broncos, I thought it was a very entertaining game.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Some blown chances there by Brisbane. Otherwise, Melbourne. And you know what? This is like also because when I made my tip, I wasn't just making it based on how good Canterbury played in that first half, but also I was concerned that Melbourne leaked 6 tries when it should have been 8 tries. I think, geez, like I wouldn't be surprised if Canterbury roll them up this week. Honestly, like.
And look,
if I'm a Canterbury fan, I'll be excited for this Friday.
I'm very excited. And look, Adam Reynolds was injured, at halftime, and I think that was a big factor as to why I thought the Broncos didn't win.
No Payne Haas and
Payne Haas.
And no, what's that guy that paints his nails' name?
Ezra Mam?
No, the other one.
Walsh. Reece Walsh. Yeah. No, Reece Walsh. I think the impact of Haas is actually. Like Walsh is very important to them, but just how important Haas's role on is for that team, I think we're sort of forgetting just how good he is. The Broncos forwards are okay, but I just feel like that strong arming other teams when Haas is not there. I don't feel like they have a team. And look, Carrigan's great.
They're still doing good.
Carrigan's great. I think he plays to the stats, and that's why he looks so good. They
whipped the Cowboys.
Yeah, but the Cowboys are vulnerable. The Cowboys aren't.
I think they overachieved, don't you reckon?
They've had a fairly simple.
They've overachieved.
They've had a fairly easy. What's it called?
Yeah,
draw as well. So let's not like
they're vulnerable. You're
until
right.
you're rounds 12 to 15. You don't really know who's doing well.
I think by round 20, we'll know.
I think we'll know a lot.
By then, injuries and suspensions.
Yeah. The Nas,
is he back?
No, he's not. He's still named. He's named in the reserve. So. What's going on there, man? Maybe some of the rumors are true.
Fortunate for him, he didn't get suspended, and I think his returns and reserve grades is increasing every week. So he's now topping. I think he's topped again, well over 100 meters, and it's just I think he'll go again. I think he'll be back next week or the week after.
I hope the Storm don't want him because he'd be someone that you'd throw absolute dollars at to get to your team.
I'd throw Lomax's dollars at him.
Knights versus Dragons.
Yep, just on that. I went Newcastle by 18. Almost got the margin right. I just think Newcastle handled the conditions better. That was atrocious. That field was flooding in areas. Hastings, I thought he was very, very smart. Him and Ponga were very smart.
They played to
the ball into the puddle.
And
the Dragons players are absolutely clueless. I felt sorry for Sloan because, honestly, you can't. What those Newcastle players were doing their kicks. Like, even Lomax had a torrid time, and the other players. Lomax had another good game. I thought a fantastic game.
Bro, I'm still amazed.
I thought he was their best player.
Yeah, he was the Dragons' best, and I still don't understand how someone that wants to leave so badly plays so well. Like, explain that to me, bro.
I'll get onto that soon, but just on that, St. George had 18 errors. Yeah, atrocious, but Newcastle didn't have near as many errors. St. George incidentally ran for more meters. I think they had more tackle busts and all that. But every time they got down to Newcastle's line, they also showed they're a one-trick show pony. Against St. George, I got the same problem that Souths have, or similar. All eyes go to Latrell.
Yeah.
At St. George, all eyes go to Ben Hunt. As much as you might disagree with my opinion, either they got to get more stars around him to take the attention away from him, or it's probably best they do let him go. I think the club needs to build. He's 34. How long can they hang on to him?
So, question from a non-Dragons supporter, right? One thing I noticed watching the game. So, my wife's a Dragons supporter.
Yeah.
And all her family is Dragon supporters.
Horrible.
Unbelievable, right?
I don't think that whole family's Dragon supporters.
Most of them are.
I think the other one's a Newcastle fan. Anyway,
point is, right? I watch these games because my wife, is a Dragon supporter, and I look at these games and I think the Dragons have so much, but they're soft between the eye.
Not really. I think
they have no tenacity.
In that sense, I thought you meant their squad. I was about to disagree about the whole squad.
When I say soft, I mean they're being soft as in...
They are.
They just
Agreed.
no tenacity.
No tenacity. And Flan will sit down with you and, will hand you a wad of cash because he will totally agree with what you said. He let fly at him in the media. He's absolutely pissed.
If
But
you-
I am surprised.
The Dragons scored that try by Lomax. I thought that was a great turning point for the Dragons. Then the Knights get a roll on, and they score 3 tries in a row. And I'm just thinking,
they
hang
went
on,
to sleep.
this happened against the Cowboys. This happened against
They got cocky against the Dolphins after rolling the Tigers.
against the Dolphins, and they couldn't pull it back. And it just seems like they give up.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that Flanagan moving Sloan to the wing was the right move. Because let me tell you, if I was that coach, I would have hooked Sloan. There were times where Sloan was jogging back and the try hadn't been scored yet. There was show energy. Habibi, you don't know what's gonna happen. Show energy.
Yeah, it's just he's put him on notice, but again, he hardly I don't think the Dragons. Look, I'll tell you what. I'll give Flano one thing. I think he's trying to stick solid with his squad for the first 8 rounds, and then he'll start wielding the axe.
But I think he's made some errors of judgment.
We can agree, definitely. But I think he's just putting his head. I want to give these guys 8 rounds, or let's say 6 rounds, because if you look at their reserves, they've got the Couchman brothers. They're twins. They're actually big boys, and they're very mobile. They're a clone of either Wallace or Chaiara, as in they'll punch you out 200 run meters. They'll punch you out 40 tackles.
Still very fresh though. They need time to develop.
They're only 2021, but I think they played last year. I think the other one also played the year before. But I think they're ready. One of them or two of them to start either getting selected on the bench or in the starting lineup. I think it's time he starts to take that plunge.
But I understand, like you guys, even without the Catchman brothers, you've got Tua Pilotu, you've got the Fafita kid.
Tui Pilotu and Ravalawa, I'm stunned, hasn't scored a try yet. He's made so many run meters, so many line breaks. I think they need to tweak their attack because it seems like they also seem to go to the right a lot.
They always go to the right to Lomax. I agree.
Yeah, and I think that's where Rava was
Rava,
playing.
I think
he was on the right last year, I think.
But he's been out of form. I feel like
Not
he's been
really.
Out
His
of form.
attack has been, just because the ball's not coming to him for them to score tries.
But maybe there's a reason his team isn't going to him.
No, it's the attack. The attack's wrong, and Sully's getting more praise than he deserves.
No, don't be harsh. Sully's playing fantastic, bro.
His work rates. Look, every time he gets the ball, he's very effective. Either they're not going to him enough, which I'm also concerned
or not
about,
early enough.
or not early enough. Also,
Not early enough.
or just something going on there. But Tui Pilotu he's a big body. Something's got to give. He's got to be in first grade sooner or later. Some of those forwards also, I feel, got to break through. I think Blake Laurie's been ordinary this year. I was surprised Jaime Sele got taken out of the lineup.
Has been, yeah.
For Michael Milo.
Yeah,
Milo goes good. I just think it was wrong to take out Sele. I think I liked. To Kyle Flanagan's credit, he's probably playing the best he's played in about 3 or 4 years.
It's ridiculous. Isn't it?
It's not nothing sensational, but he's actually getting more involved in that. And you can't probably fault his father at this stage for choosing him. But you got Jesse Marshke on the bench. I think Flanagan needs to use him better. Either
Agreed.
put him if he's going to play him hooker, give him time in that first half when the players are still more fresh. He's got to give Little more of a rest because Little's a whip it out of dummy half. He's
so
good on
good,
the
Little,
attack,
man.
but he's got to give Marshke more time. Unfortunately, Marshke only got time on the weekend in the centres. Something he's not really familiar. In wet conditions, it's very hard. And you know what? He was up against it. He was up against Bradman Best.
Yeah, he was.
You know what? He defended well, and he got smacked a few times in attack. But I just think that Flano's got to give him more of a chance. Like, I'd love to see him play in the halves with Ben Hunt because he could run.
So with Bird being injured, do you think Lomax moves to centre, or do you think they're going to? Did they name
the lineup's up. Yeah. Oh, sorry, the lineup's up. I forgot to mention it to you because we're doing this podcast as Team List Tuesday, but Jack Bird has been named.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
He's not going to play, bro.
Yeah, that's weird.
And if he plays, then that's just another loss.
I'm looking at the lineup. It's pretty much the same as last week, except for Jaime Sele's come straight into the starting lineup.
And he's dropped Blake Laurie to the bench. So
Yeah.
who's he? He's
Jack
dropped
DeBellin's on the bench as well. Eisenhuth, I think, has been impressive.
Eisenhuth's
not
been-
sensational, just
Bro,
impressive.
Eisenhuth has been very good for you guys. What a great pickup.
I just saw who is this squad member we're getting. Like, he's at the end of his career.
No,
he's made
very
me look
good.
silly.
Yeah.
Fatala Mariner's there. Jesse Marshke's on the bench again. I like to see him get early game time.
It's not a bad bench, to be honest. If Jaime Sele and Francis Molo can...
The good thing is, if you look at... Yeah, you're right. If the forwards can lay the platform...
Laurie, DeBellin, Mariner can come in and...
We're just talking
do
about Tui
damage.
Pilotu and Couchman. They've been... and even Matt Finney has been named in the 18 to 22 position, so they are creeping closer and closer. Just on that, the Tigers... If you want to go to the Tigers and, so we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about the game.
Have been absolutely impressive. They have exceeded expectations. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not. When I say that, I don't think they're overachieving. They are playing. It hasn't been. It looks like it's not a fluke.
It's not a fluke.
They're just playing with passion and cohesion.
Even against the Dolphins, even though they lost against the Dolphins,
26-16 against the team top of the table. They came back.
I would be very happy with them as a Tigers supporter. The Dolphins played very well. Isaiah Katoa, that young half, absolutely controlled everything with his kicking game.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. I'm actually going. Believe it or not, I'm actually going for the Tigers in this one.
I've gone the Tigers as well. I've gone the Tigers by, I think, 10 or 12.
I just think that Stefano, Utoikamanu,
he's coming.
Fonua Pole, Isaiah
his prime.
Papali'i have been very, very good for the Tigers.
Yep.
During Buller is showing It looks like he's been a
a
fullback
star.
for 10 years.
He's a star. Is he a New South Welshman?
Yeah, I think he's. Hopefully he is.
Yeah.
Bro,
Good.
another one who I think, bro.
Aiden Caesar, his experience has been absolutely wow.
Bro, he's the difference in the team. Him and Justin Olam and their experience have turned this team upside down.
They're playing with enthusiasm.
Justin Olam is almost in career best form, right? He's fantastic. And Aiden Caesar, last week against the Dolphins, I thought they took him a little bit out of the game, but even then, he kicked a couple of 40-20s.
Oh, yeah. And then you got that menace at hooker. Wow, he can play.
Do you know what I mean? Just
They're
ridiculous
Happy Carousel.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, they've lost their last 8 at Campbelltown. They're due for a win.
Yeah, due for a win.
Conditioned. What day is the game? Sunday?
So it's Sunday at 2 p.m.
Oh, we might have dry
in
conditions by
Campbelltown.
then.
I hope it's. But it's still going to be such a poor. The conditions because I think it's going to be raining
again.
But
you know what? The rain will favour the Tigers again more even.
Yeah, I think
the
it would
Dragons
be,
are atrocious in the wet.
Yeah.
But I've gone to Tigers by 12. Based on form, they're due for a win at Campbelltown.
I agree.
8 on the trot. The Dragons are in all sorts. I mean, he hasn't really tweaked his lineup again. So, yeah, expect that.
Quickly, just to go through some of the games. Roosters Knights.
Yeah, Roosters will be missing Young and Tedesco. Are they missing anyone else? Where's the game at, by the way?
It's in Newcastle.
I'm going to go the Knights on this by 8 points. I think they'll bounce back again. Roosters last year had a slow start. They're going to have a slow one this year. They've still got Spencer Leniu to come back. And I guess we'll see. Dom Young, though, they can cover him. Teddy will be back in another week.
Look, they've got Junior Polga there. He's not a bad winger.
I just think, look, you got to go to Newcastle based on the win last week. And, Roosters got a few injuries and suspensions now.
But they still have a very, very, very
They've got a
tough
strong
team.
lineup. And I still think they'll
I'm
make the eight.
going to go Roosters. I'm going to go Roosters by 12.
They'll spring the upset?
Yeah, they'll take a lot of confidence out of the way they played that second half.
Yeah, but they're playing okay, all right, fair enough. When's the game? Friday?
Thursday.
Wet game. Wow.
Yeah, it'll be a wet game. So I think it could be actually a wet game. The Knights might be able to.
Mate, you saw what Hastings and
no, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick to it.
No, he's changed his mind.
No, I'm going to stick to it. Roosters by 12. Broncos. This is the Friday night game. Broncos and Dolphins. This will be a very, very interesting game.
Who returns for the Broncos?
Walsh is back for the Broncos.
Good. Haas?
No, Haas is not back, but Ezra Mam is not injured. He'll be playing. I thought they do lose Adam Reynolds, so we've got Jock Madden at 7.
Yep. And what about the Dolphins? Who have they got? Who have they lost? Still the same?
Herbie Farnworth is injured, so they got Tessinu to come in for him.
No, that's all right. Katoni Staggs will run over him. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dolphins for the upset.
Yeah, I was about to say Broncos too. I heard Reynolds is out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Dolphins by 4. It's going to be a close game.
I'm gonna go Dolphins 1-12.
I'm inclined to say Brisbane, but I thought Haas might have been back. But let's go Dolphins by 4.
Then we got the Saturday at 3 p.m. Warriors and Sea Eagles.
Yeah.
The Warriors they're fielding such a strong team. I'm gonna go Warriors by 18.
Is this in New Zealand?
Go Media Stadium.
All right, and the Warriors got a full stack lineup.
Full stack. I mean,
Manly don't have Saab back yet either.
No,
because he's a weapon on that wing when he links up with.
Tommy Talau's been very good for them though.
Hot and cold. I'm gonna go Warriors by 14.
I just don't think Manly. I reckon
what do
Manly.
You say Warriors by 20?
I'm gonna go Warriors by 18. I still think Manly are the Smokies, but
of course
they're very vulnerable.
But they lost to the Dragons.
They're very vulnerable. They're
and
very
lost to Parramatta, which
we didn't lose about the Eels getting smashed by the Raiders.
Hey, didn't I say 40 plus?
You did, and I was thinking about that. I was like, how the hell?
They can't play without Moses.
Yeah, but you know what? That means that they're not going to win a grand final this year.
Whoever put them in the discussion.
I'm just going to say, any Eels
you,
supporters out there?
you should be. Oh, you can't believe you put that. They're not going to make the final.
I'm just calling it out.
They might not even make the finals. He's out for 12 weeks.
They're playing at Combank Stadium. I reckon.
Who they're playing?
Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys by. I'm going to say
Cowboys by. I was going to say Cowboys by 14, but let's just give them by 8.
I'm going to say Cowboys by 8 to 10.
All right. Yep. Who's the other game?
I am conscious that the Eels will probably bounce back really well. I just don't see because the other thing is
look if they win against the Cowboys again. I mean, the Cowboys seem to be overachieving, so
yeah.
But I'm going to go Cowboys by 8.
Yeah, Rabbitohs Sharks. Jai Gray is in at fullback in place of.
Wow.
Yeah, in place of. I'm actually going to say Souths. Believe it or not,
Where's
I'm
the
going
game
to say
at?
It's at Ackle.
I'm going to go Cronulla by 14.
I'm going to go South.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot closer.
I'm going to go South by 12.
Yep.
I'm going to go South by 12.
Who's got the bye?
Wait, we're getting to that. And then Raiders, Titans.
Where's this one at?
That's at GIO Stadium in Canberra.
Oh, it was in the Gold Coast. I was going to tip the Gold Coast for their first win of the year.
I'm going to say Raiders by plenty.
Yeah, I'm going to go Raiders by
13
16.
plus.
Yeah.
13
Even
plus.
though it could be a lot more. Gold Coast got to win sooner.
And the bye is the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah.
I think Cleary will be back next
I think
week.
hopefully
I
he'll be
actually
back.
tipped them against Manly, and then Manly sprung the other.
I think, look, it was DCE's 310th game for the Seagulls. They wanted to put one out for him. I thought they played well. Tommy Turbo was very, very good. Lachlan Croker, their number 9, doesn't get enough credit.
Oh,
He's
hands
very
down,
good.
yeah.
He's very, very good.
Turbo was flying, and then I think he went to sleep that last 20.
The other one who I think doesn't get enough credit.
Oh, you
for
better
the
not
Warriors.
mention his brother. Yeah.
No, Wade Egan.
Yeah.
Wade Egan is a mad
he's
number
been
9.
He's been in the highlights for the last 2 years.
He's so good.
He's been plays it with his heart.
You know, like I thought last year they brought in Reece Robson from the Cowboys to play for the Blues, and I think Wade Egan is also eligible for the Blues.
But honestly, Reece Robson, what a player! Honestly, like that.
As a 9, I rate Wade Egan more than.
I just think Reece Robson. Wow.
He's a tough guy. With that, we have come to the end of the podcast. We've sort of gone on for a bit now, but it's just been such an exciting game of rugby.
You know what? Look, see what a win does, Canterbury. Look, Elmo's happy. Like, he's positive. He was bubbly the whole show.
It was a great round of rugby league.
Look at the tone in his voice.
It was a great round of rugby league, but also today's the last day of Ramadan. Tomorrow is Eid, and we're always excited about Eid here at the Kennel Podcast. So if you are celebrating Eid tomorrow, I just want to say a massive Eid Mubarak to everybody. I really hope that you had a blessed Ramadan, that you enjoyed the fasting. It was a little bit tough this year with us fasting a couple of hours longer, but Eid Mubarak nonetheless from myself, from Dibbo, and from everyone at the Kennel Podcast. And look, if you don't celebrate, if you don't have a Muslim friend, tell them you want some of those sweets, because trust me, the sweets come out on Eid. You will taste the best sweets ever. Just tell them, what sweets do you have for Eid this year? I want some. Anyway, I wish, hope you're, all the best for your team, unless you support the Eels, in which case I hope you lose again. Thank you very much for supporting us. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great afternoon, or whenever you watch this.